Hi, welcome back to FutureFast, and I hope you had time to look up Girish in our previous conversation. If not, please do look up. This is Girish Batra that we have with us today, and we have him for our Friday Future conversation. And he's been an entrepreneur, and his journey has been fantastic. He's working with startups and also an investor. But all those things, I would like you to look up the previous conversation where he talks about his journey, which is the way the Girish is being very structured in his approach, and he also shares his journey also in a very structured way. So please listen to it. And the second part is where we talk about what he's doing in the startup ecosystem. So that would be very interesting for you to catch up with. And today we will be talking about his perspective on future. So with a very quick introduction, that is exactly what we are trying to achieve with this effort of Future Fast, where we bring in people to understand their perspective on future and their fears and what are they optimistic about, what are the things they are doing to prepare themselves, and what are the things they suggest or advise that we could work on to keep ourselves better prepared to face the future. And hope you'll enjoy the ride. And we'll get started with our ride. Girish, thank you and welcome back once again.
Thank you, Nanjita, for having me.
So, Girish, uh, yeah, I think we already know you're a very optimistic person. So obviously you are very optimistic even about future. You did say that you're very optimistic about uh, India's future. But if you have to talk about things in general, right, not specifically in terms of growth or startup, in general, what are the fears that you have from a point of future? I mean, it's not that you only have fears, but that's my first question. What what are the things that you fear from the way the world is heading, the way things are happening?
Yeah. So, see, the high-level fears of global warming or selfishness increasing in the world is, of course, at the high level. And as individuals, we can do our bit for both of these if we want to kind of negate. So even Bill Gates was asked in his talk that you travel in air jets, you're talking about global warming. So he mentioned how he kind of buys credits to square off the global warming his jets are causing. So I'm happy that questions are getting asked even to billionaires who are using their money for, say, self aggradation, whatever that word is. Yeah. So these are global level worries, but again, the optimistic me says that humankind has been innovative. We found answers when we were cornered, and those answers have changed the world, be it from getting democracy to be popular across the world as a governance ecosystem where the last person has to be taken care of or he or she will not vote for you. So all these came in with the endeavor of humans to uh, make their collective better instead of the individual better. Of course, the marriage is also required. If you work for individual betterment, you land up also working for collective betterment also. So if I'm a startup founder or I'm an industrialist, I'm of course working for individual betterment, but in that journey, I also make that collective betterment impact as I see it.
Well, see, that's the thing with talking to optimists, right? That it's very difficult to get them to talk about a doomsday scenario.
Right.
So, uh, what is it that you're most excited about? Let's say probably you'll come in. I mean, what do you think is the best thing that is happening in the future that you think is going to be so exciting for you and all of us?
So it's these trained youth which are coming out, which are equally optimistic and want to change the world where they are with what they want to do. And my dad's generation was surrounded by scarcity. So they had that scarcity mindset that money is to be conserved. My generation was in the middle. We had seen partial scarcity, partial well-being because of our corporate jobs and our career growths. But the next generation is searching for purpose. They don't understand scarcity. They don't understand they're searching for purpose, which is beyond them. And that is what I am the most uh, tied to that this is what is going to bring the change, and they need that right uh, catalysm, if I may use the word, for achieving what they go to achieve. They might achieve it without that also, but okay, kuch to role we have to play also. So they might need that, and that's what I am there for. I've kind of committed the rest of my life to startups and the startup world, and that's what I plan to do.
See, if you were to be invited as an advisor to government, which is now the president of G20, right? We are hosting G20 and India is in the presidency of G20. So potentially, if you are advising India, you could potentially take that to the G20 also. So what would you want to advise there? What would be your advice in that context for the future? That what actions they take today could help us in our future tomorrow.
So Modi ji also said the key job of government is to remove the barrier of government from our citizens. So government should be there only as an enabler of, be it business, be it travel, be it the economy. It should be only an enabler instead of a barrier. And India is in that transition. Of course, 1991 was a big shift where we kind of privatized a lot of these laws. Otherwise, we were in an area where my brother runs a shop, and he said there's a officer who came every year to his shop and said that you have to change the meter gauge because there's a kind of erosion which happens at the end. So you not change your meter gauge in which you measure cloth, so you have to pay me a bribe. So that's the kind of era, the licensing era, which we kind of transitioned out of. Still, there are remnants of that. But I'll say if I were the advisor or whatever, I'll say see where you can be removed from, so that there is no roadblocks or humps which businesses, citizens have to go through to get what they plan to get. Remove government from where it's not required to play a role. And government is doing that also. They've privatized many of their organizations because they believe that their productivity cannot be achieved what private players can achieve, or the hard decisions the private players can take, they cannot take. And simplify things so that everybody understands what is it to be as a citizen. So what is right, I should be doing. What is wrong, I should not be doing. And it should be simplified. There should not be too many laws, too many schemes, so to say. So I read it somewhere that Brazil and many of the countries have merged all their schemes to only 4 schemes for their citizens. So there are only 4 buckets of schemes. In India, there are 4,000 schemes. So I'm a SC, ST, there's a scheme to make me an entrepreneur, there's a scheme to give me a loan, and I'm not aware. So in fact, there's a startup founder who's saying, I built an app to make the citizen aware of what all schemes the government does. So we have gone to that level where an app is required to understand what the government is offering.
If you have actually 4,000 schemes, then app surely makes sense. Do you remember the app? Maybe letting the world know what it will help.
I forgot. It was idea stage startup. So it's still not live. Someone had got a grant from Elevate only to build that app.
Wow. Okay. So, what kind of people you think are doing things that will change the future that we are going to get into? Or the people, if you want to name them?
So it's private enterprise. A lot of people cross from Elon Musk trying to send folks to Mars to Bill Gates to the longevity project where folks are saying that human life need not end at 100 years. Maybe we can build some tools, although I'm not a fan of that. It's individuals with money and a will to change the world who will change the world for everyone. See, I'm a billionaire. I want to change my life, so I'm investing into the R&D for building these solutions, and it lands up changing solutions for everyone. So the internet was a NASA project. Finally, it was meant to improve communication between two, and it's wowed the world with what it has done.
See, there are so many billionaires doing so many things, which we obviously hear, and they will all be impacting us. But anybody particularly that interests you, that, okay, this is what is more exciting, this is what is something really interesting from your perspective?
Yeah, so there's this billionaire, his name I will. He gave away 99% of his wealth to charity, to the public before he died, and he stayed in an apartment in a minimalistic way. And he was a billionaire. In fact, he's the inspiration for even Bill Gates to Jack Cheney, if I'm not wrong. I'll just check the name, but he's Bill Gates' guru in the giving space, so to say. Jack Chean. I'll just give the name again also maybe. But it's so these are inspirations of people who made tremendous wealth. I really enjoy making wealth, but I am not a big fan of spending that wealth for myself alone. The wealth should be put to the best use which it can to change multiple lives. So these are the people who inspire me. So making wealth is glorious, which Mao also said to the Chinese, like, be rich. Who's stopping you from becoming rich? So we should all aim to make good wealth, big wealth. But then we should put it to the best use also. So if the wealth can give me a diamond ring, and that same wealth can give a nice education to a kid, then I've got that choice. So what if that kid is not that related to me? I've got that choice of what to do of the same wealth, the diamond ring or the 1 year education of a kid. Yeah. So that's the folks who inspire me.
Wonderful. Do you want to, if you were to make some predictions, uh, uh, what would that be? What area would you like to make predictions on? Something to whatever the point of time, right? 5 years, 15 years, 30 years, 50 years.
Yes, so see, I'll make a prediction that all predictions will fail beyond 5 to 10 years. So there is no prediction which will be even close to reality beyond 10 years. So in fact, that's what we used to make 5 year plans for when I was in Whirlpool.
Oh, you actually did make a prediction though, that India, like China, will also have a much bigger percentage of EVs and
that's a logical.
yeah, more from that
logical
aspect. I'm saying from something which is yeah, which is gonna the way we live, right?
True.
You want to give a shot at it, other than everything will fail?
Yeah. So see, as I said, the S curves of all industries will shrink. The Fortune 500 companies will disappear. 90% will disappear after 20 years. So today's Fortune 500, after 20 years, if you see the Fortune 500, 90% will be new. So if you've reached a particular stage, then your decline is also kind of written that you'll be declining, and some innovation will disrupt you. And there's
so we in India can find a few, right? UB Group.
True.
And Modi Group probably.
True.
So and I don't know about Adani. I think it looks like it failed through so far.
True.
So who do you want to put that in the list? What will disappear? Is there something on that line you want to make up?
Yeah, so see, if change is going to come, the change is going to take whatever form and shape that exactly may not be, but from cars to travel to across the change is going to be faster. As I said, the S curves are only going to shrink, and therefore Fortune 500. And
so probably
will
the
it be
companies
ChatGPT or will it be some other AI or some other machine learning? These are all tools to help humans achieve what they want to achieve in a faster way.
True. So do you have, what kind of a flag do you want to have people raise from a point of keeping a perspective on future? Because I think whatever conversations we have, our whole ecosystem has become, maybe in some sense it is good, but it is always uh, uh, bureaucrats don't plan for more than 3-5 years because their positions change. Politicians don't plan for a longer time than 5 years because next elections come in. So somewhere the people who are supposed to be building infrastructure for our country are operating in very short-term thing. Though we even had a 5-year plan modeled around China, and it's been junked for now, at least as it seems. But irrespective, uh, how do we bring in? See, that is one of the reasons I also wanted to start this FutureFast. Is that how do we get people to start thinking little long term, little beyond that? I mean, however foolish it may sound that I say this is what will happen and it may not happen. But at least from that point, if I'm able to think, like, say, I did say something like Bangalore will die as a city in 15 years from now, and it's almost 10 years ago that I said that. Okay, so I may be wrong. I'm still in Bangalore, 5 years from now, that may not be the reality, but you know, water base is depleting and things are really going in that direction. But that is one of the things where I could, if I'm wrong, as a someone who predicted it is still good for me because I still live here. But uh, idea is that unless we start looking at things like this, how, we don't start working towards making it.
True.
So how do you think we can get people to start thinking in that direction? What kind of motivation can we have?
So see, the best way is to embarrass. And our floods embarrassed us when the world was laughing at cars floating on the road in Bangalore. And every time a foreigner visits India and the CEO of a Fortune 500 company or even takes him around, we feel embarrassed with the chaotic traffic, with the bottlenecks. So infrastructure is an embarrassment. But I was in Delhi and I traveled the Delhi metro last week. And I said it's equal to any of the metro systems across the world. So we don't have to look for role models across. I go to Gujarat and I feel the roads are the best tarred and concretized in Gujarat. I mean, there's hardly any traffic jams in Ahmedabad or intercity or intracity travel. So we've got the best examples in our country only. Yeah? That we don't have to go far. UP, I'm told, is a new benchmark. People are praising the Delhi education, public education system. So this is going to bring the change in the governments also. So what if they are short term, they are voter driven, they are corrupt at times. But finally, we get embarrassed. So when Modi ji also is giving the G20 presidency and he invites people, so what if the traffic is cleared? But then when you go around, you feel, yeah, why is China and even other countries have built this over 10, 20 years? Why are we lagging behind? So that embarrassment is going to cause the change as I see it. The infrastructure has to be reasonably classed because there's nothing called developed and developing. If China is developing and it's got a good infrastructure, or if Africa has got good infrastructure, South Africa I'm talking about, we deserve it as 1 in 5 in the world is an Indian. So we deserve that kind of infrastructure at least, be it electricity, be it roads, be it telecom connectivity. We deserve the best in the world. At times, citizens will have to embarrass, work with the government, or do something like lakes. I'm so happy there are people whose LinkedIn profile says I'm a lake conservationist. Now, when did that come in? That came in with someone's pain point saying, yeah, lakes are dying and let me go up and build it. There's an organization called the Ugly Indian. So their conversation is all around don't talk, act. So they went to Rohini Nilekani's office and because of their standard line, we don't talk, we act. They took her down. There was a dump of this construction material left behind after the road was relayed. So they worked on removing that, put a plant at that space, and then they just put the photos and then left. They don't even put photos. That's their USP. They want to work anonymous. But they say we are ugly. Let's work. Let's at least repair one spot instead of blaming the government all our life saying government doesn't do this, government doesn't do this. And that's what the citizen action, which makes me that much more happy. That if someone is working on lakes, someone is working on clearing the beaches in Mumbai, he actually cleared the entire Dadar beach, and he's a famous guy now. So it's like karma bit. If you feel that something needs change, be that change, and the world will follow. You don't need to wait for others to follow. World will follow. Starting from our independence movement to whatever, you see, the world follows here. Someone has been good, the world will follow. There are foreigners who've come and picked garbage with us or helped us clean our beaches in Tamil Nadu. Foreigners have come and from London Business School, and they have taken part in such projects and they've happily done it. So be the change is my recommendation, and change will come.
With that, thank you so much, Girish. And uh, any recommendations to keep track of fast changing future that you want to leave behind for our audience or listeners?
Yes, so there are quite a few young influencers from Naval Ravikant to famous YouTuber. I'm forgetting his name. There are quite a few young influencers whom we should follow and support in bringing this change. And I always believe that learners will thrive. If you are a learner, then you can thrive, and age is not a factor, sector is not a factor. If you're a learner, you thrive in every space you play. you know, to keep be a lifelong learner and keep contributing humbly to whatever change is possible. And the future will come, and we can make it as we want it to be.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. Make it as we want it to be, and
Sandeep
hurting
Maheshwari
as
is
little as possible.
Sandeep
Sorry?
Maheshwari, again, he also wants to bring that change in youth, and he's working hard with them, sharing with them. Sandeep Maheshwari.
Wonderful. Thank you once again, and hope you all had uh, fun, enjoyed this conversation. And if you have not heard uh, Girish's journey, please do look up to that. And if you are into starting new ventures, if you're running startup, you should listen to the second conversation with Girish, where he's how they are working with startups. Uh, Not just about funding, but yes, that's what interests you. That also, that as well. So, thank you once again, and do share this podcast with other friends. And you can look up the link on how to reach Girish. And there's also a link to Girish's book. Please do check out that book, and you will have better reason to go for that book if you listen to his journey. Once again, thank you so much. And Girish,
Thank you for having me.
thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah.
Take care.